The newest and 7th nightmare critter is Tulie, and yup, another single name nightmare critter, just like Poe. No frills, no extra words, just Tulie. And if you're thinking that name sounds familiar, it might be because it's a clear nod to Ratatouille, that classic movie about a rat with a knack for cooking. But unlike the rat who dreams of being a chef, Tulie's got a different kind of passion. Literal garbage. Yup, Tulie's the self-proclaimed trash rodent, and that title alone tells us a lot about this character's vibe. So let's get into what we know about Tulie so far and start to unpack the mysteries surrounding this little critter. First, let's take a look at Tulie's appearance. Tulie's got a classic gray rat look with big, bright eyes and a mischievous grin that tells you they're always up to something. They've got these large pink ears, one of which has this jagged, patched up look like it's been through a rough time. And then there's that outfit, a little skeleton fishbone on the chest, like a badge of honor. Tulie's got this casual, almost carefree look, like they're ready to scurry around, find something interesting in the trash, and then chat your ear off about it. Pun intended. Speaking of chatting, Tulie is also known for being a talker. They're described as a lively conversationalist, which is funny because according to the description, they don't actually have much to say. So you've got a character who loves to talk, but not exactly about deep topics. Tulie's the kind of character who will give you their insights on anything and everything, whether or not it's actually useful. Imagine trying to navigate some tense, dark corridor in the Playtime Co. factory, and there's Tulie rambling on about the different types of junk they found. Not exactly the type of character you'd want to run into if you're trying to keep your focus. And then, of course, there's the scent, Petrier. Petrier is that smell you get when rain hits dry earth, a fresh, earthy scent that a lot of people find nostalgic. Now, think about that for a second. A rat that smells like rain? It's a strange combination, but maybe it makes sense. While most of the other nightmare critters have scents that match their personalities, like Icky Licky's coffee or Raby Baby's bubblegum, Tulie's scent hints at something different. It's like a reminder of something familiar, something that feels natural, even if their personality is anything but. The scent of Petrier could symbolize Tulie's connection to the earth, to the raw, gritty world of the factory's underbelly, where everything is damp, forgotten, and waiting to be picked apart by someone like them. Now, let's move on to the big question. What role will Tulie play in Chapter 4? Given their personality, Tulie's not going to be the kind of character who actively hunts you down like Huggy Wuggy or Mommy Longlegs. They're a scavenger, more likely to be found lurking in the corners, picking through trash, and occasionally popping up to share some insight on the junk they've collected. But that doesn't mean Tulie won't be a threat. Imagine trying to navigate a maze-like section of the factory filled with garbage, and there's Tulie leading you deeper into the mess, all the while distracting you with random chatter. They might even use the knowledge of the factory's hidden nooks and crannies to set traps, luring you into areas where you have to wade through obstacles and piles of debris just to get away. Tulie's role could be less about direct confrontation and more about creating a sense of unease. They're like the eyes and ears of the factory, someone who is always there, watching, collecting, and hoarding. And if they know the layout of the factory's darkest corners, they could lead you straight into the heart of it. It's possible that Tulie might even be a guide of sorts, leading you towards certain items or areas, but always with an ulterior motive. They're not guiding you out of the kindness of their hearts. They're leading you because it benefits them. Maybe they want to trade information for something you found, or maybe they're just using you to access parts of the factory they've been curious about. But at the end of the day, you can bet that whatever Tulie does, it's going to be on their terms. Which brings us to the next question. How will we see Tulie's personality expressed in the game? Tulie's a talker, so it wouldn't be surprising if we hear their voice as we explore certain areas. Imagine wandering through a section filled with trash and you start hearing this low murmur, only to realize it's Tulie, rambling on about some random piece of junk they found. They might even interact with the environment in unique ways. For example, if you try to pick up an item, Tulie could suddenly pop out, telling you some convoluted story about how they found that exact same item in a different part of the factory. Their dialogue could be full of random, useless facts about the factory's garbage, making them both amusing and incredibly frustrating to deal with. And don't forget, Tulie's got a nose for the weird and forgotten. They're the type to collect items, hoard things that everyone else would overlook. So it's possible that as you explore, you'll come across little collections of junk that Tulie has put together. Random bits and pieces that don't seem to make sense until you realize they're all connected by Tulie's twisted logic. These collections could even serve as clues, a way for Tulie to communicate with you indirectly, like a breadcrumb trail leading you deeper into the factory. But there's also a darker side to Tulie's personality. For a character who talks so much, there's a lot they're not saying. Why are they so obsessed with trash? What are they really looking for? Tulie's constant need to collect and hoard could hint at a deeper insecurity, a fear of being forgotten or discarded, just like the trash they surrounded themselves with. It's as if they're clinging to these items, hoping to find something meaningful in the things that everyone else has thrown away. And that's where things really get interesting, because while Tulie might seem like a harmless, talkative scavenger, there's a desperation lurking beneath the surface. They're driven by something, a need to gather and collect, to piece together a world from the factory's discarded remains. And that desperation could make them far more dangerous than they appear. Now, another question is, how might Tulie's love for trash and insightful commentary come into play in Chapter 4? Imagine navigating dark, eerie corridors filled with forgotten toys, and you suddenly hear Tulie's voice echoing through the halls, spouting random observations about the trash scattered everywhere. It's not just spooky, it's unsettling in a way that really fits the Nightmare Critters theme. Maybe Tulie even uses his environment to his advantage. In a room filled with garbage, he could camouflage perfectly, making him difficult to spot and setting up for some serious jump scares. With his pronounced sense of smell indicated by his Petrier scent, he might even have the ability to track the player. Think about it. Tulie is a character who isn't just another creepy face, but actively follows your trail, adding tension as you navigate through the Playtime Co's depths. He could be the type to lie in wait, surrounded by trash, giving the player a false sense of security. Just as you think you're alone, you turn a corner, and there's Tulie, rattling off some fun fact about the junk around him before he goes in for the attack. It's that mix of his talkative nature and trash obsession that makes him unpredictable and ultimately terrifying. Now, let's look at his scent, Petrier, the smell of rain-soaked earth. It's a bit unusual for a rat character, isn't it? But this choice could hint at something deeper. Petrier is often associated with renewal or the end of a dry spell. Could Tulie represent some kind of revitalizing force in the twisted Nightmare Critters lineup? Or maybe he's a reminder of what Playtime Co tried to do, taking something neglected or discarded and attempting to give it new life. Except, of course, it all went horribly wrong. In this light, Petrier isn't just about the fresh scent after rain, but also about the creepy aftermath of a failed experiment, the lingering odor of something once alive, now left to rot. Tulie's scent adds another layer to this character. You'll smell him before you see him, and that rinky-dinky stinky air could signal that he's nearby, watching, waiting, ready to strike. But this isn't just a coincidence. Every Nightmare Critter's scent seems to align with their role and personality. Petrier gives Tulie a creepy, almost ghostly presence, like he's been lurking in the shadows long before you arrived. And as you dive deeper into the Playtime Co facility, this scent could act as a haunting reminder of Tulie's presence, like he's always one step ahead, waiting for the right moment to pounce. But moving on, another question is, will we actually see his personality traits when we finally encounter him? With all the chatter about being a trash rodent and his insightful commentary, it's likely Tulie will be constantly talking or making remarks even as he stalks you. Maybe he'll mock the player, calling them out on their choices or commenting on their progress, all the while hiding in the shadows or darting around the junk-filled rooms. This could add a psychological layer to the encounters. If you're already on edge, hearing his voice echo through the hallways, it could heighten the fear, knowing he's close, yet never knowing when he'll show himself. And when he finally does appear, it won't just be a straightforward chase. You'll be dealing with a critter who's as sly as he is quick, using his knowledge of the trash-ridden surroundings to his advantage. Lastly, the Nightmare Critters logo provides some subtle hints too. We've seen how the colors and symbols in the logo match the various critters. The blue in the logo is the same as the blue on the dead fish pendant, but I'm leaning more towards the gray letter T in the middle. It's these little details that Mob Entertainment has hidden in plain sight that suggest each critter has a deeper connection to the overall aesthetic and lore of the game. So what's the big takeaway? Tulie is shaping up to be more than just another creepy character. He's a talkative, street-smart rodent with a fascination for trash and a personality that seems designed to get under the player's skin. His scent, his environment, and his trash obsession all point to a character who uses his surroundings to his advantage, making him a perfect fit for the Nightmare Critters lineup. With that in mind, I'm really curious to see how his personality traits will translate into gameplay mechanics. Will he be a persistent presence, constantly talking, lurking, and popping out when we least expect it? Or will he be a master of his environment, blending into the trash around him, only to strike when you're most vulnerable? Either way, Tulie brings a unique energy to the Nightmare Critters, adding a layer of dark humor and eerie unpredictability. But what do you think? Could Tulie's fascination with trash and its Petrier scent hint at something even darker in the Playtime Co. factory? Or is he just another critter who's been given a twisted personality by the experiments? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video right here.